Happy hump day. Happy Wednesday. Happy midweek point to all of you. This is Crystal XO, and this is the Dating Diaries. But I am only one half of the Dating Diaries. The other half is Scorpio Moe.
Happy Wednesday. Wednesday. Yes.
Yes. It is Wednesday. It is Wednesday. Actually, you know what? Fun fact, it is actually Thursday.
For you. That's what I was
Yes.
thinking.
Yes, in Sardinia, it is actually Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But I'm on with my EXO family, so it's going to be happy hump day. But yes, I have moved into Thursday. Oh my goodness, how's your week going? What's going on? What's going on in ATL?
It's moving fast. The weather is extremely hot, as everyone here knows, all across the country, up and down the East Coast. I don't know about everywhere else, but the East Coast for sure. Um,
Yeah.
Extremely hot. I think by Friday we're gonna get a verdict on P. Diddy. We'll see.
Oh man.
Traffic. I'm just trying to think of everything that's going on in the States. Trump is bugging. It's a lot of stuff. Fat Joe. It's a lot of stuff going on over here in the States.
It is. And I will say I have enjoyed my reprieve. Next week I will be back home, but I have enjoyed not being as close to the drama as I am when I'm in Atlanta. Because when you're in Atlanta, it feels like you're in the midst, you're in the thick of it. You're in the thick of it. But I will say this. I guess we will all, kind of wait with bated breath to hear what happens with this Diddy trial. Um, that I don't think that the trial should have been. I really don't think that trial should have been so public. I think it trivialized a lot of really important issues, right?
Mm.
Um, People are making fun and debating, about things that are really dangerous and serious. And I think that um, is just it's done more harm than good. I think what I do hope, and I would love for the chat to chime in and let me know what you guys think. Do you guys think that after hearing what some of these young ladies experienced, just in order to, be with a wealthy, famous, powerful man, that some women who aspire to be with someone like that may take a second thought after hearing some of the things that the women that were with him were, you know, introduced to, were forced into. Do you think it'll change some of their minds of thinking maybe I may not want to sleep with three men on my birthday. I'm just, I may not want to do that. I don't know. Some may not, but I would just think that maybe some 19-year-old someplace may be like, maybe I don't want to do that. What do you think?
Nope.
Oh, wow. You don't?
Nope.
You think that women would hear the testimony and still push forward?
This is not new. No, I don't. I don't believe that. I think like a lot of stuff. It's just like the guy that sells rugs. Gets out there and he sees Scarface. He sees his friends go. He thinks he can outwit it. He thinks he's smarter. He thinks he's and same thing. I think there's going to be a lot of young ladies that think, not me. He's not going to do me like that. I'm better looking. I'm this, that, and the other. No,
Mm,
I don't think it's going to change anything. Unfortunately.
wow. Oof, that's sad. That's really sad.
It's the R. Kelly situation. The first wave, it didn't stop people. The second wave,
Well, the first wave, you didn't really hear bad consequences. I mean, I'm thinking the first wave is like Aaliyah marriage. Maybe this is not a 14-year-old, but it was not any like beating and black eye. And, uh,
That's what I'm saying. I unfortunately I don't think that's going to be it. We'll see the documentaries after this. We'll see a whole nother wave, and I don't know. I could be wrong. We'll see, but I just don't.
I think, I mean, you can't save everybody, but I think we may save one or two.
If we could do
And
that, great.
that's all. Karen says hello, Mo and Crystal.
Hello, Carrie. Out.
Um, Hold on. Fun fact: I have always said I will retire in a blue zone country. I love the idea of living in such an amazing place and being surrounded by people that thrive in wellness. Oh, thank you, Karen. She said I look refreshed and vibrant. I appreciate that. And can I tell you, I do really appreciate the lifestyle here. It is, first of all, you can't help but feel, you know, refreshed when you look outside and the Mediterranean Sea is, at your doorstep. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. You know what? I'll upload a clip so you guys can see where I was today. But I also just think we were talking tonight at dinner, just about the idea of community and it being so um uh it just people are so it's not the fast paced hustle and bustle. Here people take time. I told you guys from 2 to 7, everything is closed down. So people can go home. Like they open in the morning, they go home in the mid afternoon, they come back in the evening. And it's definitely a very different lifestyle. And the first thing that we Americans think is, how are they going to make money? How are they going to make money? But it is definitely refreshing, and I have really, really, really enjoyed it and look forward to coming back. Hopefully we'll get a chance to come back again,
Can you
and
tell her
work on this project.
California?
Say again.
Can you tell her the place in California? Because if I'm not mistaken, she's in California. Because you said there's a blue.
There is a blue, we were talking about that today. There is a blue zone in California. And let me see here. It's a Loma Linda, California. I'm not sure where that is, but Loma Linda, California is a blue zone. And it seems strange that California would have a blue zone, because it just seems the opposite of that. But it does. Loma Linda, California. I don't know where that is. If there's somebody out there that does, let us know in the chat and we can put it up. But yeah, Loma Linda, California is also a blue zone. And then there's another one here in Rome and a few others. I can't remember where, but um, the diet here is interesting because people people grow their own food. They You can just tell when you go to the grocery store, um, the fruit and vegetables. Now, one of the things that is kind of inconvenient is, when you get fresh fruits and vegetables with no preservatives, you got to eat them. It's like you got to go shopping for the day because you got to cook that. You got to cook that immediately because it's going to go bad. But it is definitely, I think it's worth it. It's just, if we had a kitchen here, because we've been eating out, but even the restaurants, the food is so fresh. It just tastes different. I can explain how different. I have an example of how different it is. We I saw yesterday, I was watching a movie and I saw a McDonald's commercial. First of all, I didn't even recognize it was a McDonald's commercial because it didn't look, the McDonald's here is very different. In fact, I don't think there's not a McDonald's on Sardinia, but there's one, there's in Italy, there are McDonald's, but they they advertise the vegetables, the fresh vegetables. They don't use the same products that our McDonald's uses, which is really crazy. It's like they took what we do, but they made it healthy. Um, and
McDonald's.
McDonald's, I wouldn't even,
No,
I'm telling
McDonald's.
McDonald's.
That's
But
what
I wouldn't even have recognized it if it didn't have the little golden arches. I was like, that is not McDonald's at all. It's like, it's just a total different world. And so what I've tried to do, someone said they've adopted the Mediterranean diet. I'm definitely going to bring back a lot. Obviously, a lot of the day is spent walking. People do a lot of walking. They've got little narrow streets and people are always out walking. I did take this clip today. This was my scenery today. So I just want to share this with you and the people, if that's okay. Mo, are you
yes,
ready
yes.
to see? Okay, let's see a little bit of.
You're rolling too, Christian? Yeah. Yeah. Ah, much better.
Just beautiful, just beautiful. I have some video. I have to do a reel of me and Sugar Pie went down to the ocean today and got in a little bit. We're going on a boat tomorrow, so I'll get some more footage of that. But it's just been a really educational experience, and I am doing a story for Lennox and Parker on Blue Zone. So um, uh, Karen, what? Sure, put. And if you have a question, I do have an expert here, not in the room with me, but I do. We're going on the boat tomorrow, so I have an expert on Blue Zone. So if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll get those questions answered and come back next week because there's a guy here that we're with that is a expert on just the lifestyle, and it's beautiful. It was hot, but it's very beautiful here.
Man,
Very beautiful. Yeah.
a slow life.
Man,
Like,
yeah, but I'm telling you, people, and I do feel refreshed. I'm tired because it's 2 in the morning, but um, just the air is cleaner. You can tell the difference in the air. And I live out in the country, but it is just the air is cleaner. I didn't buy ceramic pottery because I've been over here for almost 3 weeks, and so I had to pack quite a bit in my suitcase, so I didn't have a lot of room. So I bought a couple of gifts for a couple of friends and my mom, but I didn't really have a lot of room in my suitcase for other things. And then, of course, I got Sugar Pie, who again is knocked out because it's hot here and she's walking everywhere. Y'all see her tail ain't even wagging. I think the funniest thing is if you go to my Cantering Beauty IG, I have Sugar Pie's experience in Italy. She has become an Italian dog. In Sardinia, every so often along the sidewalks, because people are walking, they have bowls for dogs. So we may be hot, but the dogs are refreshed and hydrated because there are little dog bowls along the road for them to drink. And she'll just, have a drink every once in a while. Everyone here loves her. The people in the hotel that we're staying in, they know her. Everyone's like, Sugar Pie, ciao, Sugar Pie, Sugar Pie. It's hilarious. We're having a good time. But let's get into tonight's conversation. I have I got a couple of questions for everybody throughout the night, but I thought we would go ahead and start with our dating dilemmas or disasters. And I wanted to ask you, have you ever had a dating disaster that was related to travel, like the person was too far? Like we talked about long distance. We know you're not a person that likes long distance relationships, but have you ever broken up with someone because they moved or you were moving or, you know, in Atlanta, you can move to the other side of the city and people want to break up. So have you ever experienced a dilemma that was related to distance?
yeah, I did.
Tell us about, share with the people, if you will.
It was when I got to Atlanta. I had a girlfriend,
Okay.
and it was during the Rodney King verdict. I broke up with her right after, literally right after.
Oh, wow.
1992. Me and my friends had made the decision we were moving here.
Mm-hmm.
They were tearing up the underground, all CAU, all that it was on the news. And while we're on the news, I'm telling her, mind you, she's in Philadelphia. I lived in Pittsburgh. And I had to tell her to come get her stuff out my apartment because
Oh my God.
yep. I was like, hey, it's just like spring break, and I had to tell her something like that. She was home, and she had went to Pitt University, and I lived not too far from the campus, and she had got put out, but she never told her mother.
Mm-hmm.
She got put out of housing, her and a few other people. It's an incident that happened, but she stayed with me only for 3 months, maybe. Came from after Christmas break, but in any case, when she came back, she was staying with me, and I had to tell her.
So what did she do after you left?
She came and got her stuff.
I know, but where did she take it to? Is what I'm saying. What did you help her find a plan after you? No.
I was 21. I wasn't unfortunately I wasn't thinking like that. I was thinking very selfishly of me and only to her to get her stuff.
Was she hurt? Was she sad? Were you sad?
I was not sad.
Well, thank you for your honesty. Thank you
And
for your honesty.
my eyes were wide open here. I was excited about, and when I was venturing in here, and I was already, I didn't forget about her, but I forgot about that place. I was just ready to go, and I was excited. I had to go back and get my stuff. And I had to break my lease. It was a bunch of stuff, and she came and got it.
Well,
It was, she was definitely hurt. But years later, she came back to. I thought I would never speak to her again. She was mad. Well, she wouldn't speak to me, should I say? And she came here to teach at the University of Georgia.
oh, nice. Okay.
Well, she came to do an interview to teach.
Oh.
And I picked her up at the airport. This is when you can go all the way at the top of the airport.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I met her there, and I saw her face, and whatever. And she had a hotel. I went to the hotel with her. We did do the Oochie Coochie.
Wait, was she married?
No.
Okay. I thought you said she had a husband. Okay.
No. We did the Oochie Coochie, and I stayed the night, and I took her to the college, to out there. That's the University of which one is the one in Athens?
I don't know. I can't think, but that's what you meant.
Georgia State. No, that's that University of Georgia. And I took her there for an interview. I slept in the car, drove her back, went to the hotel, back to the airport, and that was that. So she couldn't have been that mad. But she later on is very successful. She's a psychiatrist in Pennsylvania for children, and God bless her. She moved on and got married and all that good stuff.
Well, we didn't think that was going to be we didn't think that was going to hold her up forever, but yes.
Hey, it happens sometimes.
Tammy said the military war kept me single in the Army. I've often wondered about that because I know a lot of people, obviously, in the military, and I personally, even though I'm married right now to someone that is a retired veteran, I would never have dated someone in the military because if they were active duty, because I had so many friends that were in the military that told me stories of rampant infidelity. You know what I mean? So I would never have done that. But I do wonder, like, how do people, how do you balance that, deciding to, Tammy, what made you decide to, I guess, focus on the career and not try, to even someone in the Army? Because I know there's a lot of people, obviously there's an abundance of men in the Army. But anyway, let us know about that. Karen says, I was dating someone in Las Vegas. I really liked him. He treated me like a queen, but the sexual pursuit failed epically. I was so disappointed. I cried, I ran home and never told him. Yikes.
You cried, Karen?
It wasn't I tried. I don't know if it's tried or cried, but So that isn't about distance. That's just a bad pursuit. A bad pursuit. That's unfortunate.
You know,
The Oochie Coochie, yeah, he said they did the Oochie Coochie, and I wonder if that was for old time's sake. Maybe she just did that with you for old time's sake.
did it back.
Oh. Oh, I'm so sorry. You guys, that is so sad. Tammy says my fiance died in combat in Afghanistan. Ooh, my
I'm,
goodness. I'm sorry to hear that, Tammy. Let me ask you this, Tammy, not to get off the subject, because we know we don't really talk about politics, you know, on Dating Diaries, but because there's a lot, as Mo said, there's a lot happening right now. Are you, because what we heard at dinner, last earlier this week or last week, it's all kind of running together, is that Iran and Israel, there was a lot going on.
mhm.
And so there was a lot of concern. And so I always wonder, like people that have been in the military, you all have a different understanding of what that means than we do. So are you concerned about what's happening right now? I know there's supposed to be a ceasefire. Um, I mean, not a ceasefire, but an abandonment, I guess, of the war. But are you concerned, Tammy, with what you hear currently? Because it is a little unsettling. For a couple of days, we were worried, like, if something happens, would we be able to get back to the States? But I guess everything is okay. And so y'all pray that we get home safely, back to U.S. soil safely. But I just wonder if those members of the XO family that have been in the military or are currently serving um, do feel like they're concerned about what's happening right now. It's just a lot of sad things going on. I do want to say, I want to give a shout out before we get too far into tonight to Nikki Walker. Nikki Walker is a publicist that I worked with here. Um, and she is, I learned on Monday that she had transitioned.
Mhm.
And it just, I've had that happen over the last 2 weeks. 3 people that I've known really, really closely have passed away. And I always say this, you guys, just life isn't promised. Love on those that are dear to you. But I don't think we can say that enough, so I did want to just say that. And again, our condolences to you, Tammy. Even if it happened a while ago, still that's horrific. El Chapa says, I had a reverse breakup. He lives in ATL. I'm in New York. It was lovely. After a year, he started to like me. He said he's moving to New York. I panicked and called it quits.
Ah,
What? What? First of all, ma'am,
ah,
what? Not you broke up because he liked you.
I mean, damn it, Tammy.
No, it's not Tammy. That was El Chapa.
Oh,
El Chapa. Tammy said her goddaughter is currently in the army serving in Syria. Wow. Whew.
well, here's the thing. Do you think that when people do stuff like that, it's because they don't want to? Because the first and Chopper, this is first thing that came to my mind is you didn't want to leave. You didn't want to stop dealing with your other people. And
Well, I don't think that is what you would be thinking, because that is what you would be doing.
no, I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't. But I'm just trying to figure out if this is what you want and it's serious. It's serious. What did you think he was doing the whole time? He
Well,
was
maybe she, and you let us know which one of us is right. Maybe she was serious until it became serious, and then she got scared.
cold feet.
Cold feet.
Okay.
Because when somebody moves there, then if it doesn't work, it's almost like you're responsible for them. Like, you came here because of me, and if it doesn't work, I'm going to feel guilty. You may resent me if it doesn't work because you uprooted. It's a lot of pressure. That's a lot of pressure. That's a lot
Um.
of pressure. I think you should have talked it out but it's still a lot of, I do understand that's a lot of pressure.
I think it's, yeah, I guess, but that's what we're under that regardless as men. That's what I'm saying. Like that's us anyway. But for her, I guess when it's vice versa, different. Nah, it is. Like if you're being there and you're taking care of the household and you're being the head of that is pressure. And that is to you know, be that person. I'm just saying if you're that person in the
Yeah.
house, that pressure.
Haitian Empress. Hello, Haitian Empress. Welcome. Welcome on this beautiful Wednesday/Thursday. El Chapa said there were no other people. It just felt too close for comfort. Well, in that case, you may not have really liked him. Because if it felt too close for comfort and he was in Atlanta and he was coming to New York, Atlanta, New York, even though it's a short plane ride, it's miles apart. And if him coming to New York made you feel like it was too close, then he might not have been the one. He might not have been the one. I did have that. I entertained. You know how some people you can enjoy talking to them because it's a fantasy and it's just fun to flirt? It's just fun to flirt and have something to do. And then when the guy takes it seriously, you be like, wait a minute, I was just playing. I wasn't serious. I've done that several times. I've done that several times.
You don't know who's doing that. You don't know. You know,
I did the same thing as El Chapa. As soon as the conversation got to where it was like serious about moving, I was just like, because I knew I wasn't serious. I wasn't serious. You knew about this one. You knew about the classmate. Wasn't serious.
Is this one of those situations the idea is better than reality?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand.
Very much so. There are a lot of times that you're just entertaining, you're having fun. You're having fun. It's something to do. It keeps you preoccupied. It may keep you from thinking about someone that you know, some heartbreak that you've dealt with.
Damn it.
Tammy says, on the other hand, my mom waited for my father to return from Vietnam. They married. He remained in the army and they were married for 55 years until he passed away 2 years ago. That's a beautiful story. So Tammy, you got to get back out there. Your mom and dad left you a great love legacy. That's true. That is true. That combat is very common to the United States, but I do think that things are getting a little bit more heated. But let's get into something. Let's get into something that's a little bit more, a little lighter. Let's talk about dating. So I got some information today that there is a new option on a dating app. You know how on the dating app you can put your religion, you can put your, if you have children or not. There, on the dating app Hilly, there is a new option titled Manchild Free. It says the surveys show that 78% of Gen Z American women say they will not date a man child, but 22% of men admit to being one. And there are probably a lot more out there that won't acknowledge that. So this is a app that has an option for daters that want to make sure that they do not attract, I would say, immature men. It says that, hold on, I'm going to read the definition here, the textbook definition of a man child, which I don't know. I think the very definition of a man child means he probably won't pay attention to this, but the man child is a guy who acts more like a kid than an adult, sometimes on purpose, just to get you to baby him. It's manipulative, and this new feature is here to help you dodge that bullet. This man child option has been needed for a long time. I don't think man children just don't realize they're not welcome by some daters. It is Peter Pan syndrome. In fact, they mentioned that in the press release that it is about men that have the Peter Pan syndrome. Yes. Let me see.
I know someone in a situation that just by that definition and for what I've known that is them, and I think they play on because the person feels sorry for them, but they won't grow up, and then they know if they, you know, if they play like, or I'm talking about like quit jobs, mess up jobs, just
Yeah.
stay up under the person's wing, and then the person has a heart, and they're too afraid to put them out. But and then the excuse is they've been together what 20 something years, 25, 26 years. And I'm just bugging like, but you're taking care of them, you're complaining, you're cheating, and all kind of wild stuff, but you won't. It's hilarious to me. And I'm like, you got a son. You chose to not have kids, but you actually have one.
That's what this app is about. It says that 55% of women surveyed say they have dated a man child. I've dated one in particular. But the one that I dated, I believe he was a man child. He had spent some time on vacation. And we all know what that means. When he was younger, he had gotten into some trouble. And I think that he had arrested development, because of that. And he got by on his looks and having, and quite honestly, a lot of women offered to do things for him. And I remember for me, I remember dating him, but thinking like, if I get serious, I'm going to end up having to do everything for him. I just didn't want to do that as much as, I might've been attracted to him or whatever. It didn't feel like I would ever be able to have a partner. It felt like I was always going to have a son, a really overgrown, annoying son, because even your son grows up. My son is 26 and extremely independent, has been independent since he went to college at 16. I would not know what to do with a man child. Like I wouldn't know what to do.
That makes me think of I guess the reversal of that, the
Is there a reversal of that? Because that's what I was wondering. Like, if we allow women to have a man child option, what is the reverse of that?
No, the husband's son. If you
The son. Okay, no, but I meant like, I see what you mean, like a son that's like the husband.
Yeah, like you don't you treat your son like he's almost like you've heard of those situations where it's like you won't let your son go and be, whether it be with the woman or certain women, and you rely on your son like that's your husband.
Yeah, there are situations like that. I think in Jump in the Room, you guys remember that with Paula Patton and Laz Alonso, and his mother was, I think there's a lot of times confusion about who comes first, the wife or the mother, and the man has to learn to cut the strings with the mother and focus on his wife.
But there is a reversal on the other way, as far as
what is that? So what would the equivalent in a woman be to a man child? Because women are just by nature a lot more mature, I think.
Well, the problem is that it's touchy because a lot of them won't admit it, but I mean, not a lot of them. Those who are like that, I mean, I don't know if they even see it like that, but you'll be, as a man, then with women, you'd be like, you're not my daughter. You're my, like, what is the difference between me treating you like my daughter and me other than telling you what to do? And even still, they'd be like, I want a man that's a leader. So what would be that I think is more of a fine line, and be like, yo, I'm dating you. You're not my daughter. I'm not obligated to do this, that, and the other to you, especially at this state. But, whether you go through social media or not, these things are seen to be required. And they'd be like, I'll take care of my daughter. I don't take care of you. Well, a real man would, and then you hear all these things, but what is the difference?
No, who was that said? No, it was Paula Patton was in Jump in the Broom too. Um, I guess the part that is a little bit confusing with that is because there are a lot of men that do prefer a woman that is more, I don't want to say childlike, but I mean, a lot of men actually do prefer to take care of the woman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but what is the difference? Is there a difference? I mean,
I mean, the men are not complaining about this. Women are complaining about men being children. The man child, the grown man can't raise a man. He's already grown. What you gonna do? That, you know what I mean? Like that is an issue. I don't really hear men complaining about women being immature. I don't hear men complaining about. I hear men complaining about women being old and wanting a younger woman more than they do about women being like immature. I
um,
don't ever hear that. I hear she's mean or she's too independent. I don't ever hear she's just immature.
I think that whole like you try to define like, am I your daddy or am I your man, and what is the difference? And what I do, what would be the difference between taking care of my daughter, or is there a difference? I don't know, but I just know in the beginning stages, I think it winds up being the situation. That's why this whole thing where the women call the men daddy, where does that come from?
I think it comes from a lot of men liking to hear that.
Men request that?
I have I yes.
Okay. That's that's
Mhm.
that's weird to me. And I know they do. I just find that weird that if, especially if you got a daughter, like why would you want, that's just weird to me. Some
Yeah.
dudes get off on that, whatever. But I'm just trying to say, is there a difference?
Mhm.
Is there a difference? That's I'm just trying to make some type of decision.
I think there is a difference. I think the biggest difference is that, well, there are probably some daughters that take care of the house for the father. I don't know, but I mean, the woman's position in the man's life is to support and nurture him. I don't necessarily think the daughter does that, but I mean, I
I
don't
like,
know.
they say, what did they say? She was sent to be a helper, and we done skipped over the helper, and now she just wants help. But it's supposed to be help me, help you, and we done skipped over to help him and went to straight to help her. So
Well, I
that,
mean, I guess it depends on how much, what kind of help he needs. Do we think that let's stay focused on the man child option. Do we think that this is a needed? Do you guys feel like this is a needed option? Me personally,
who's gonna admit that?
nobody's going to admit that. Nobody's going to admit that.
That's uh,
They're not going to admit that. And I also think it's just another way to be negative. Man child free on your profile. It's just not, I don't think it's smart. I don't think it's smart. I think it tends to be negative and to look like you're just, if you know that that's not what you want, then just focus on that.
if do you, in that scenario I was telling you about, the woman, I know her and somebody else. Um, that's what they look for. They look for the weaker men to control, because they know the other guy just get up and he ain't got to deal with it. He don't
Right.
he don't need to live with them. He don't need to. He can have. But I think, and I even said, I was like, yo, you and your people, y'all like control. You always pick weak men, and y'all don't. But and it's on purpose. She says it about the other person, but I'm in my to myself. I'm like, you too.
So, hey you there says define weaker men. What do you mean by that term, weaker men?
Men that always need to rely on them and can't be self-sufficient. Like I would tell her, I was like, you never seen him take care of himself. How do you think that he could ever help or hold you down? You know, you've never seen that, but then you will pick a man who was less than on purpose. And then she even told me that about, she even told me that about her sister. She was like, yeah, she likes the guys that she could tell them what to do. And they will do it. A lot of times they need a place to stay. Ever, like, and I was like, and to myself, I'm saying, you do the same thing.
But see, I think this is just my personal opinion. I think that a woman that chooses a man, or either side, and that goes. This is going to lead us right into my next question. But I think that's a sign of really low self esteem, and the fact that you don't believe that if a person doesn't need you, they would still want to be with you. And that's great, because my next question was, in a relationship, you sent me this clip. In a relationship, do you want to be wanted or do you want to be needed? And if you want to be needed, then maybe in that perspective, then maybe you are not confident enough in yourself and who you are to think that if a person isn't at a huge disadvantage, that they would not really love you or that they would not really be loyal to you. And the problem with that is the person is not really loyal to you. They're dependent on you. And if they ever were to get up on their feet, they probably would leave you. They'd
Imagine
probably leave you.
being needed. Like I need, if there's 10 people in the room and I need $10, anybody with $10 can fulfill that need.
Right.
But to want someone, you would have to desire that person. And I'd rather be, you know what I'm saying, wanted than needed. Me personally.
So I asked my husband what would he want, and he said wanted. And it's interesting because when I was watching the conversation, a lot of the men said they wanted to be needed. I know men like to feel needed, but he's a very confident man. But I feel like I want to be wanted, and then I think when you want someone and then they become a part of your life. We've been together 5 years, you know, at a certain point you should feel like you need that person.
That comes first. But
Yeah, the want comes first, but then I do want to feel needed, because my fear, and I'll just be honest with you guys, um, in my first marriage, my ex was very much like, oh, easy come, easy go. And so after 13 years of being in a marriage and burying people and raising children, they just easily threw it away like it wasn't anything. And I don't want to ever be in a relationship with someone that hasn't found a value in our relationship that they feel like they need. Because if a person feels like you're dispensable, if they see you as just, you know, uh, another one comes along, I can get another you in a minute, I can have another you in a minute, then I think that that's a dangerous place to be. I've been there before. So yes, maybe interdependent. I'm not needy, but I do want to be with someone that once they're with me because they want to be with me, but then we do need each other for the life that we're building for, not saying that if something were to happen, we would die or we would cease to exist, but I do think you have to, maybe what I'm really trying to say is I want to feel like that person values my impact enough to where I'm not just replaceable, because that feels very unsafe, you know? And I think there's a lot of people that think like that. A lot of people, when they get married, they think, oh, well, I'll just get divorced. I can just, men come by like buses. That is a very dangerous mentality. And I don't want to be with anyone who thinks like that.
I think the need develops. It comes in time. Like you developed it because you've built something. You've developed something. But if it's the need, like when you be like, I need a man or I need a woman, and I need to be in a relationship by next week or by the end of the year. You see what I'm saying? You're trying to find somebody to fill a slot.
Right.
I want this person, and this slot is custom made for them.
Mm-hmm. Right. Right. I want this person, and now they make me happy. They contribute to me. I love the impact they made on my life, and I need them.
Right.
If you say I don't need you, I can see how that would feel very, expendable, replaceable, you know.
There you go. I like that. The need, the want develops into the need.
Yes.
But I don't know if the need always develops into the.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, I'll be honest, it doesn't. Because if a person needs you initially, the homosexual conversation we've talked about, if they are there because you are providing a roof over their head and food, I don't think they really get to experience the best parts of you because they're really only there for what you provide. And I think that's the same thing, you know? Yes, thank you. Hey, you there. Girls are like buses, miss one, next 15, one come. I don't want someone that thinks like Gucci Mane. I don't. I don't want someone who thinks like Gucci Mane ever again. That is a very dangerous place to be because, or like the Neo record that Beyonce sang. I can, you don't you ever get to thinking that you're irreplaceable, and you just that's not a positive way to think about your relationship. Once you're in one and you're building, not a husband or a wife. Now, girlfriend, boyfriend, dating, yes, if you're dating someone, you can be replaced easily. But if you're married to someone and you have children,
Totally different. Yeah.
that's wild.
It's
Yeah, to the left, exactly. So I think that's good that we talked it out because I was like, I don't want to say that I understand not wanting to be needed for something, but I do think that what they bring to your life once you guys are in a relationship should be something that you see yourself needing.
Because you might not even know that you needed it until you got in a relationship with them. And
Exactly.
you need them. It's, you know what I'm saying? Just like it's custom, it's custom made for the need.
Yeah. There you go. I like that. Yeah, that's good. Oh, we didn't come upon something here. Come upon something. I think that's important because I think everybody, I do think part of it is like ego, right? So we want to be wanted, we want to be desired, right? We want to be felt like the person is attracted to us. But realistically, we know that there are millions of other attractive people in the world. That person, is probably attracted to millions of other people. But you have to find something that's special and that connects the two of you. And then you start building upon that so that you do become dependent, interdependent, not one way. And if one person wants to control the situation, I think that person also has bad intent. Because so let me explain it. So if you're saying that a woman wants a man that is dependent on her and she wants to be in control, she's also using him. She doesn't respect him and she's also using him in a way, right?
Yeah.
Because she doesn't have pure intentions for him. She wants a sucker so that she can do whatever she wants to do.
Who else will put up with it? That's my thing. And it's like
that's what I'm saying. That's not clear intent. That's not pure intentions.
Exactly. That's what I said.
But a lot of people are like, oh, well, he's just using her. No, really. They're both using each other in a very toxic circle because he's using her. And that's the case. And I think it goes for men and women. There are women that are using men and there are men that are using women. Both sides are wrong. But just because one person has the money doesn't mean they're the only person that is doesn't mean that they're not using the other person as well.
1,000%. 1,000. That doesn't get talked about enough.
I love that. Okay, I love that. I love that. Karen Shields said, I want to be adored. It's something so beautiful about knowing that you're desired in a way that you feel safe to return that energy. Yes. Yes.
Let me ask,
Yes, Karen.
is there a possibility that you could receive that and not appreciate it? Like, let's say someone in their early 20s,
Yes.
they might not appreciate that then.
If you have never experienced it, for example, I have a friend and I won't share any of her information, so I'll keep her anonymous. But I have a friend who's in this relationship that is beautiful for the first time. And hey, PR Envy,
What up?
we have two topics that kind of mesh together. Um, the first one was, is there a need to have a tag on a dating profile that suggests that says an option for man-child free? Do we need that? There's an app out that has this now as a option for women, so you can put if you have children, and also if you're open to having a man child, which we've talked about. I don't think that's something that we need to do. But we're also talking about if we would rather be wanted or needed. And a lot of times the man child needs the woman, right? Um, so if okay, I think I lost my train of thought in explaining all that to PR Envy. Were we talking about the adored?
Yes.
Okay, so if you have not been used to that and you receive it, my girlfriend, she's in this relationship the first time she's been treated the way she should be treated. And the guy, um, for her birthday, spoiled her, just bought her all these different things and really just made it special. And she felt uncomfortable with that because she hasn't been used to experiencing that. And she told him, well, I don't want you to think that you can use money to buy me. I don't need that. Right. And I told her, I said, I think that you are just not used to that, because I remember when Adrian called her. He called a couple of my girlfriends because we first started dating that first year. He surprised me on my birthday. I had never had anyone surprise me. I'm very hard to surprise. He got a boat because I told him I loved boats. He got a boat, like a yacht on the lake, and invited all my friends and surprised me. And it was just, I'd never had anything like that. And it's almost like if you haven't had that type of treatment, you could feel unworthy, right? But if I had said to her, I don't feel like I was worthy of that, or I think he shouldn't have done all that, she would have said, are you crazy, Christal? You deserve that. All my friends said, Christal, Adrian spoils you. You deserve that. So I said, this is the same thing for you. You have to learn to receive it. I think sometimes a lot of us have not been treated the way that we should. So we are, it's foreign. And when something is foreign, it's unfamiliar, it's uncomfortable, and you can initially reject it.
Yeah.
So I love what Karen says in the second part about being adored. And it's not just about the man worshiping you, it's about being desired in a way that you feel safe enough to return the energy. That's huge. And I think that this relationship I'm in is probably the first time that I have felt like that, since my first relationship, because it it's hard to, a lot of times we're looking like, when's the other shoe gonna fall? Right? When is the other, okay, he's doing nice stuff, but why? He wants this. What's he doing it for? Da 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 da. And you're not realizing that this is just, oh, I can just relax and I can be my true loving self. That is, when you can get to that place where you can really relax and just be your loving self, that is amazing. And that's when you feel like you're being adored.
I like that. Now, coming from a person that might have been two, but definitely one person I felt that way about.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't really go like it has to, you see what I'm saying? I don't, it might be that situation, it might not be ready for that, whatever
Mm-hmm.
it may be. But so, and I don't think that comes around often.
It
So
doesn't, but that's what makes it special. And Nola says it's easier to get hurt when you let your guard down. Absolutely. But I would say, which is why I wrote that book, if you are not ready, and there we go, this is a big one. If you are not ready to get your heart broken, then you are not ready to be in a relationship, because you have to be open to putting yourself out there. And if you're not ready to put yourself out there, then you're probably, if you're going to be in something hot, holding back and doing that, that's not fair to the other person. You just should wait until you're ready, and then if you're not, you just shouldn't do it.
what does the other person do if they feel that energy from that person? Let's say I'm the guy and I feel this way about this woman. I'm trying to, but I feel her pulling back or just kind of being apprehensive. Or what does that person do?
The man that's trying.
Yeah, because I mean, it could be a woman trying or anybody, but the person is trying, and you're saying that person is not ready and they shouldn't do it. So should the other person just abandon ship as well? They like,
I don't think so. I don't think so. Anola and Hey You There, we're gonna keep pulling y'all into it. We that's why you're here. That's why you guys tune in. That's why you're here. I think it depends on the situation. What my suggestion would be as a friend, right? You and I are friends. So if you were in a situation with a girl and you were trying to show her your intent and you were being 100% and she was being defensive, right? I would tell you to have patience, number one, if it was worth it. If you saw that she really is, because a lot of times, I mean, I would just say this, it's easier to just use yourself. I was very standoffish at first with Adrian. You know, I told you guys, like, we went on a date. He wanted to hold my hand. I was scooted over. I was like, I'm not holding your hand. I don't know you. Like, I was really not open for a long time with him. And he mentioned a couple of times he felt discouraged, but he saw enough to keep going. When it's the right person, they will see that. I was guarded, but I also was making conscious efforts to be open and be vulnerable, right? And I think after going on Iyanla, I got that. Okay, it's you, Crystal. You're the problem because you're going into things so guarded. And so I kept trying, but even though I was trying, he still was he still was getting some resistance, not as much as other people in my past, but it was still not. I'm not the type of girl that's just going to be like, if you be like on the first date, hold my hand, like I no, I'm not. I'm not doing that.
patience.
Patience, and then pay attention to, because anything worth having is worth working for. If
Mm,
you know that there's it's kind of like, if you know in this in this blueberry patch there's then you go and you're willing to put in the time to get to it because there's some beautiful ripe fruit there. But if you don't and you think that, okay, this could be spoiled, this may not be all that, then you wouldn't invest your time. But when there's something good on the other side, you spend a little bit more time, you have a little bit more due diligence in your pursuit, because you know that the end result is a beautiful thing, can be a beautiful thing. You never have a guarantee, but if you see that there's value there, and I mean value not in just her looks, but in how she carries herself, how she treats you, how she speaks to you, because you can still have some defense up, but still treat that man with love and respect.
mm.
I had defenses up around my heart, but I was not. I was still treating him with kindness, and so he saw that there was potential there, and so he pursued it. And then it made me feel to the point where, like Karen said, I felt comfortable reciprocating in the fullest extent.
Can you help man or woman out in this situation? What are the signs that there's something there? Like you kind of touched on it a little bit, but can you go a little deeper just to help people out so they don't, retreat and maybe,
Yeah,
you know,
absolutely. Hey, you there? Actually, our episode on Iyanla was the last season. The I can't remember which episode, but it's in the last season. It's called "Winning in Life, Losing in Love." But I can send, if anybody wants it, you can DM me and I'll send you the link. But I would say one of the signs that there is good fruit there and it's worth continuing is consistency, right? Consistency is the main key. So
Part.
I think, with both of us, I was consistent with Adrian and he was consistent with me. And I had not met in these Atlanta streets. It was not easy to find a man that would be consistent for any amount of time. None. Like it used to be where you couldn't get a guy to be consistent for like 2 months. But at this point in Atlanta, 2 weeks is difficult. Where you at? You say you're going to do something. Are you going to do it? That's very difficult for a lot of people to do. Their representatives, disappear quicker than usual. But if a person is consistent with you, I also think it's important to watch how they handle other things. One of the things that Iyanla told us is how you show up in one area is how you show up in every area. So I watched how Adrian treated his family. I watched how he treated his friends. I listened to his character when it came to different things. There are too many people that are happy when they hear someone being deceitful or being tricky when it comes to others, and they think that that's not going to affect them. But if you see a person that's always trying to get over on other people, I remember hearing this guy say, "If I catch you slipping, I'm gonna help you fall." And I thought that was someone I was dating. Look, if somebody says that, that's how they conduct themselves. It's going to come back around to you. So I watched the fact that he had character, that I actually, and to me, I think is extremely important for women to respect the man. I think there's a lot of men that I have been attracted to, or even that I have loved, but I have not respected. And if you, as a woman, do not respect that man, that is not the man for you. It's just not.
Ooh, that's real.
It's just not. It's just not going to work because and I mean, when I say respect him, I mean how he handles his business, how how his outlooks on life. Like if you listen to a man talk about his views on politics and you think that don't make any sense, or you listen to his views on finances and you think that don't make any sense. If you listen to how he interacts with his children and you think he don't know what he's doing, you don't respect him. You don't respect him. You may like him, but you don't respect him. In order for you to respect him, you have to respect how he handles himself. Because if you don't like how he handles his children, how he handles his business, how he shows up at work, all those little things, you're not going to want a leader like that. Because I have looked at some men like I'm not following you. I don't trust you to lead me. And there's nothing wrong with that. But that's why you have to, as a woman, it's your responsibility to wait for a man that you respect so that you can be in a wife role, not in a, you trying to lead him, you trying to be the husband and trying to make him a wife. And he don't want to be a wife. He wants to be a husband, but you're making him into a wife. There have been many guys I dated that I would have tried to make into the wife because I'd have been like, you don't know what you're doing. Follow me. And in that, it would have been disrespectful to them. They would have resented me, cheated on me. I would have probably, just resented them.
I think that's the thing, that whether it's cheating or how you deal with her, even when you're mad, him or her, like how you deal with that is how you can see the respect. If you get into it with someone, a woman, and how that man talks to you when he's angry, people, you might even raise your voice a little bit, but it's like you were saying, it's the little things, calling you out your B word, calling, these kind of things. And this is where the respect thing comes in at,
Yeah.
And I noticed that with myself. My family has never heard me raise my voice.
Mm-hmm.
If someone told them that, they wouldn't believe them. The first thing they would say is, "What did you do to him?" Because they've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I have, but because I love and respect them, I don't let them see. You know what I mean? They've never seen it. So
Yeah.
I have to check myself and be like, when I'm dealing with a woman and we're at odds or whatever the situation may be, how I deal with my anger with her and
Hmm.
still treat her will determine, how I respect her and vice versa.
Yeah, and I think, hey, consumer, oh, welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here live. I am live from Sardinia, Italy.
Yes, you
I
are.
am live at 3:06 from Sardinia. But, I think as women, we have to respect the fact that if that man doesn't speak to you in, if he does treat you with respect, respect that. Because I think a lot of times women push because you want to see some reaction. And I also think that men, you know, men treat women based on how they carry themselves, right? So I've never in all my years had a man yelling at me and call me a bitch. Just never happened, right? Never happened. I know a lot of women that have experienced that, but I think a lot of times it's that they react on you. But in that, sometimes when I was younger, I remember pushing because I'm trying to get a reaction, not realizing that he's not doing that with me because he does respect me, right? So if you find a man that he does respect you and he's soft spoken with you and he's easy with you, respect that as strength and not as, oh, I can push, I can push.
I'm, I'm glad you said that. A lot of brothers that are in that position and things don't get it, it feels like until I do this, now I got her attention. But when I was saying
Hmm.
the same thing like this,
Hmm.
I wasn't getting a response.
Yeah.
I had to do this to get it, and maybe that's what she wanted, and it's tough. Especially if,
It's nuanced. It's nuanced because I think there's sometimes we're missing each other because the communication is not there. Just like, give me another example, and I hope my friend doesn't get upset with me for sharing this, but she said that she eats healthy and the guy that she's with does not eat healthy. And so he kept like, ordering food for them. And I was like, well, if you explain to him why you want to eat healthy, then he will understand because what you just saying, he's thinking he's helping you by buying food, ordering from a restaurant. You are upset because you want to eat. Just say to him, this is important to me because of my health. I'm trying to take care of myself. I've known 3 women pass away from cancer in the last 3 weeks. You know what I mean? Like, this is important to me that I want to eat healthy. And 9 times out of 10, I know for me, Adrian doesn't eat as healthy as I do. I'm still trying to become even more healthy of a healthy eater. Being here in Sardinia has kind of helped because I've been able to see some amazing ways of preparing food and just really focusing on fresh food. But he doesn't. But because I'm the person that he's focused on, and I'm the person that goes to the grocery store and cooks the food for us. I mean, I just cook and he just eats what I cook. So sometimes it's not necessarily doesn't need to be a fight. It's like, okay, that's not something he does. You can introduce it to him if a man understands why, and if a woman understands why. But I think for her, I was like, look, tell him what you're doing. Don't just fuss over what's happening. What's the source of it? The source of it is that you're trying to stay healthy. As we get into our late 40s and 50s, we want to make sure that we're eating healthy.
absolutely.
Exactly. As Haitian Empress said, that's why married men live longer, because usually a woman cooking for you is going to do that. I actually saw, to that point, Haitian Empress, I saw a quote that said, "Men that have a loving woman in their life handle stress better." I think I sent that to you because it was like,
Better
he said, what?
in business.
In business, right? So if a man has, and I know my baby, when he will call me when he's upset at work. And if I'm next to him, I will just put a hand on him. And sometimes it's just that touch, just calm him down. If it's not a touch, it's the voice, just talking to him, talking him through it. Because I have a live wire. Adrian will go from 0 to 100 real quick. So if he's upset about something, it doesn't even have to be work. It could be anything. And then for me, I can be emotional. I'll call him, and that calms you. So it is supposed to go back and forth, right? Um, Men benefit from marriage more than women. I think
Oh,
that's a very blanket statement. I think it would have to be depend on the people in that situation.
there you go. There you
But
go.
yes, most of their wives go to the doctor with them and make their appointments and hold them accountable for the appointments, right? All of that stuff. So that tends to make those men healthier and they live longer lives and all of that. Because but that statistic about them handling stress, it it was just, to me, it speaks volumes, because a lot of times men are like, what does she bring to the table? Dude, like, the right woman will make your life better, will make you more successful. Not that she has to go get money for you, but that she's going to amplify, she's going to add to your quality of life in ways that you can't even, that are really intangible. Not
That's
all the soft
a lot of times what the brothers are talking about. That's when we talk about peace, exactly what you just said, opposed to if he's calling you like, well, whatever's going on at work, so on and so forth. And the woman is like, and I've dealt with them. I know it's a real thing. And you get this feedback like you tripping, or well, you just need to man up, or you just need to, like, what? You get this kind of language, and you get this kind of feedback, and it's like, wow, I can't even. That's when you wind up talking to someone else, because you can't talk to them because they make everything. Well, what are you doing, or what's wrong with you? You should just, you know what I'm saying. And sometimes, like you just said, that listening or that hand on the back, you know what I mean? What did Method Man say in the song where Mary rub me on my back and tell me, baby, it'll be okay? And that's real to a brother like me, baby. That's what we talk when we talk about peace. That's what we're talking about.
That makes sense. That makes sense. But I think that you have to find the man, or you have to wait for him to find you, whichever one you like, that brings that out of you. Because there are some men that I don't want to do that for. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that for all. I don't respect you. I don't want to. I'd be like, if you don't do, but the one that I respect and that comes natural. You know what I mean?
I'm glad you said that. That's the same thing about, like, he's not this, or he doesn't take care of it. He's not the one. It doesn't mean that he's just not doing that for you. It doesn't.
Mhm.
He's not capable of doing that. It goes that I like that. That's very, very true. And on both sides, that's very, very true. If
Yeah,
they
and it just means there's no need to fuss about it. You
no,
just remove yourself from the situation and wait on the one that's for you, because there's no need to go back and forth over something that it was understood should not need to be explained, right?
that,
And if that person doesn't feel, I've seen, if a man really the Tammy says the Delaney sisters both lived to be over 100. They said they lived that long because they never married. It is feedback. If it's feedback, then I'm piggybacking off you. Thank you, Nola, darling, for that. But you know what I think, guys, about women that were from that time period, and I remember those sisters. The marriage was not like that back then. We got to think about the fact that in the 40s and 50s, to some extent, women were not able to have the type of careers and earn the way they are today. A lot of those marriages they might have started in love, but they definitely became dependent because the man was the only one earning. So in a lot of those situations, he monopolized and leveraged his check, and he a lot of those women were dealing with abuse, and it was a lot of negativity. You sent me something earlier. I'm going to read this, because this kind of plays into what we're talking about. Um, Hold on. It kind of plays into this whole thing about the grandparents, how their lives were, right? But that stat was 82% of men say physical affection from their partner helps them manage stress better than anything else.
Mm.
Um, I don't know if I can show that. I can't find it now that I'm trying to find it. But basically it was saying, women today say, my well, men are saying that, you can't compare me to your grandfather because women didn't need as much back then, right? Women weren't asking for all the things that grandparents, our grandparents didn't have the type of, he was probably paying, $500 for rent as opposed to 2,500, and he didn't have a, $100,000 car, $80,000 car. He would, but the thing about it is, back then, people weren't, the materialism wasn't at what it is today, right? So that wasn't an issue. And a lot of those women were not able to work because they had children. They did not, that was the pattern, was to have your husband work and the wife stayed at home with the children. So of course it just wasn't the same, it wasn't the same setup. So you can't compare it either way. Men can't say, well, your grandfather wasn't doing that. No, because he also was coming home and he wasn't, he wasn't checking out chicks on Instagram. He probably saw a big-legged girl at the job, but he wasn't doing all this. And there wasn't, both sides are materialistic. It's not just women, it's men that want that stuff too. So women couldn't get credit cards, they couldn't have bank accounts. That's control. You are under his control. So a lot of times those women, I understand why they did not want to be, if they could survive and not be married, it was kind of like a Color Purple thing. Like, you get with a man and you gotta you gotta slave and do that for him. It wasn't necessarily about love. Um, my granny lived to 101 and said my granddaddy was her best friend. She worked and was independent. That's a beautiful story. You have a beautiful legacy that a lot of us do not have. My granny, I won't tell y'all what my granny said, but that ain't what she said. My granny got rid of every single one of her husbands, and she said she was just didn't need one, but she also came from a home where my great grandfather was abusive, and so he would beat her and beat um, Grandma Katie, and everybody knew that.
It just make men seem super bad back then, but the relationship, that is like, they weren't all bad.
Well, I don't think they were all bad, but I do think they were under a lot of pressure, because if you got 10 kids and a woman at home and your check ain't spreading that far, and she gonna be mad at you when she gonna be irritated because the check won't spread. The kids keep growing. They gonna keep needing stuff. You done got some liquor and went out here and cheated on. I mean, it's just, I think that it was just, especially for our community, for the African American community, it was a lot of pressures. The white man is on your head at work. She's irritated with you when you come home. But they kept having relations because they kept on having kids. It was too many kids in the house. The house is too small. It's stressful for everybody. And I know that a lot of those women did work, but they were like housekeepers. And what is consistent is that men turned outside of the house for relief. And I just feel like we should normalize men taking accountability, because we talk a lot about on this show about women not taking accountability, but men have to take accountability for the fact that if you turn to another woman, that is on you. You cannot blame a woman for your actions. You have to take accountability for that. Just like she has to take accountability for all the things that we've talked about. But we cannot keep giving men passes for, well, he don't have nothing else, nobody else to talk to. It says women go shopping if they get stressed out. What do men do? And the majority of the comments said have an affair. That is not appropriate. That's something that y'all need to take accountability for. It's
That's
wrong regardless of what she's doing.
that's fair. I can't argue that. That's fair. They did that or drank themselves to death. Yeah, that's
Well,
fair.
the drinking usually came with a fast woman. And I don't think men shop to relieve themselves if they're stressed. I think they go to women. They go to other women.
Well, that's what I was saying before about the loose women are necessary. Not stay with them and be with them, but the house of loose women,
We are not accepting that.
the house
No,
of women, um, it's a turnstile. You go in.
we are not accepting that. We are demanding you all take accountability. Hey, baby, we
You're
are
right.
demanding.
You're right.
We are demanding that you people take accountability for what you're doing.
Yeah, you're right. House of loose women. I like that. But go ahead.
Okay, so you asked me for something earlier. You give the men out there that may listen, but don't tell us that they're listening, because we know that there are some men out there that do listen, but
Mhm.
don't speak in the chat. What can men start to do? Let's start a new trend. If you all get stressed out, if you're stressed, what can you do that is a proactive thing that is positive besides turning to the open legs of another woman?
Woo. Well, first I would say try to um the what's the name, the master your the desire part of that. I'm gonna tell you
Okay.
about a friend who was very popular air personality in Atlanta at one point, right?
Mhm.
But before he got there, he was an intern, and I remember going to his house. In the middle of his living room, he had a punching bag. I was like, "What the?" He was like, "Yes." When I argue with my lady now, he said, while I'm talking to her, I just punched the bag. And I was like, "What?" He was like, "Yeah." He took me in the kitchen and opened up a junk drawer.
Mhm.
All these broken remote controls he done threw broke. And then he showed me a hole in the wall. And he was like, I would back now, I wish I would have told, yo, just leave her, man. If it's this bad, just leave. But he was like, I had this pent up, and he said, while I'm talking to her and I'm doing it, I'm actually feeling better. Now, I would say take a hobby, talk to a close friend, a real friend, and if you're married, talk to a married friend. You
Can
know,
we say that? I agree with that. If you're married, don't talk to your single friends about your married problems. Talk to a married friend.
unless it's a married friend that really respects your marriage and is telling you to hang in there and keep fighting.
Yeah, because it also could be a married friend who's like, I gotta, like, that could lead you down the road of destruction.
Yeah, but you might have the guy that messed up and realized he messed up and give his friend great advice. Not all single people. Now, if he's the friend that's always calling you to come outside, that's not the friend.
That's not a good friend.
Don't talk to that person, because that, you know it,
They want you to keep coming outside.
they want a buddy to hang out with.
They
So
want
and,
to bring
and
that.
vice versa as well. So if you have to talk to someone, hopefully it's someone you related to, someone that loves you. I would tell anyone, man, like, I don't know, go gun range, whatever it is, because you really feel like it's this thing on you that you have to get off. And if you throw something, and this is gonna sound weird, it's gonna sound crazy, but for a split second, you do feel a little better. The problem with that is that split second can change your life, whether you put hands on the other person, whether you damage something, or even yourself. So I would recommend not anything physical, even physicality with a woman, like the sex. You see what I'm saying? Like, it could change your life forever. And we
Yeah, I know a young man right now who has lost his woman, lost his baby, lost his daughter. I mean, he had an older daughter that wasn't by his wife. And now that he got found cheating, the wife is leaving him. The older daughter now is displaced. You have destroyed your life.
Over what? Like, you see what I'm saying? Over an act that's going to take whatever amount of long. It's going to be way shorter than what you.
Well, now you're upset. Now you don't want to leave. Now you want her to rethink it, and it's over, Playboy. But you're right. It is making a short term decision for a long term problem, and you're going to end up making things worse. But I do think that we need to give men more options for stress relief, because women will go to the gym, or they'll go shopping, or they'll talk to their friends, they'll cry it out with some ice cream and a sad song. But I don't know really what y'all do besides go to women.
I think once we have a place of get into meditation, get into your, like, seriously, it sounds corny and but it'll really, really help you. Take a moment. You should be doing this anyway. I think, whether it's in the morning, you do your morning routine, or before you get up, find a place in your home. Even if
I also want to say, and I know, we've come a long way as a Black community where we don't really, as a people, value spirituality, right? I do, but I know a lot of people, have kind of turned away from that. But I think a relationship with God will center you, and really leaning into that, because if you, I've heard a pastor say one time, like, if you are only accountable to yourself and to your wife, you probably aren't going to make it. But if you put God in your life and you have a relationship with him, and you know that you're working things out with him and asking him for help, that is going to help you when you're not happy with that person. Because there are certain times when your significant other may piss you off so much you don't care about if you hurt them or not. But if you know that you are, going outside of the covenant that you made with God, then that is a different thing. And so I think for me, that's another thing. Like, I know that I have accountability. Yes, I have friends that I'm accountable to, but really that accountability with God and just talking to him, because that's your creator. But I think it's sad that so many of us are no longer embracing that, and you can tell that's why there's so many people that are lost.
Part of that is, used to be, even if
agree, Nola,
they didn't go, let's just say it's a church, because it doesn't necessarily have to be a church, but let's just say there was a time where even if your parents didn't go, they'll send you. Man to come pick you up, or you walk, or whatever the case may be. Your grandmother, you would go with her. We stopped a lot of that.
Yeah. I mean, really, we talked about the fact that there's, like I was talking about earlier with this place, what keeps people living past 100 here is, besides the healthy water and the healthy food and the no smog and the clean air, is also community. And the fact that you see families, you see grandparents and parents together. It's the connection, and a lot of us are no longer in those traditional families where you take your kids by grandma's house, And I think that's why my mom lives with me now. And, Gun Boss has daughters, have had 2 grandbabies. And so I think that, you can start things with yourself. I know for me, this experience in Sardinia has taught me that I want to take the good that I've learned here and insert it back into my little piece of Atlanta, right? I can't live here, but I can take little things that I've learned. And those of us that know better, we can start doing those things. And I think if you're in a relationship, and first of all, we're all in relationships with ourselves, right? And so we can't expect a partner to do something that we're not doing actively ourselves. So I think working on ourselves is something that we should always be in the process of doing. And then it's easier to make suggestions to a partner when you're doing the work yourself, And it's easier to be open to the possibility and being optimistic and open to love when you're doing an amazing job of loving on yourself.
And when they change in you, I think that's another level of not even convincing. When people change one, when they went from this to that, they tend to, you know what I mean, follow.
Yeah. No, I agree. Now, I do want to tell you all before we get out of here. Now, I am so serious. I'm headed back next week. I will be back. Now, Sugar Pie has been away from these puppies. My mother has been taking care of the puppies. If there is anyone that is serious about a puppy, this is the time. The puppies have to go. That is my job when I get back, is to find puppies, find homes for these puppies. Haitian, please hit me on Instagram. Send me your information. If you are interested in the puppy, I will get the puppy to you within the next 2 weeks. They are, oh my goodness, they were 6 weeks. They're about 9 weeks. But if somebody is seriously interested in the puppy, we have the girl and the boy. We have Paisley and Louie. They are active. They are puppying right now. And my mom has been their fairy godmother, but it is time for the puppies to go. It is time. Okay. You don't do social. Okay, um I wonder if I can send you a message. I'm going to put my email in the chat. Can you email me? I'll put my email here in the chat. Just send me an email with your information. I'll send you mine and we can connect for the puppy. So yeah, I put my email there. For anyone else that may not want to reach out on social media, if you're interested, please, there's my email that you guys can reach out to. That's my personal email. It's not my From Christal XO email. And yes, Mo and I are doing that old school party later this summer. It is a R&B party, right? Slow dance jam. It is worth the ferry trip. Yes, it is. It is really beautiful here. It is beautiful. Like I said, we're going out in the boat tomorrow. I'll leave you guys some photos and video. Linda, you DM me. Linda, email me to this email, Linda, because hey, when I get back to Atlanta, these puppies are finding homes. These puppies are fine, and I would rather them be with one of the XO family so I can see them. Yes.
Somebody got put out where I stay. Right. I came home from work. They got put out. Do you know the dog out too? The dog. No, the dog was sitting out there barking in the cage. Well, the cage was open, and the dog was around. So I went and got some food and some water and gave it to him because he went in front of the door and started barking like he could try to get in.
Oh no.
And then I looked out the window. I saw somebody else with some more food and some more water giving it to him because it's hot. It was hot today.
Oh my God. That is really sad.
I looked again. The cage and the dog was gone. But the rest of the stuff was still there. So maybe somebody got the dog and hopefully, but I was like, wow.
Oh my God, that is crazy.
They put the dog out too.
They put the dog out in the heat.
And that's what, I went and got some water and some food, and then I saw somebody else an hour or so later bring some water out, and I was like, oh man, that's
so wait a minute, they put all their stuff outside?
All their stuff outside. Well, they didn't have much stuff. You see, I don't know if they were already gone, but the dog was there, and the dog was out in the cage. He was right outside the cage, and I'm looking. I went to my apartment. I came back. I looked out the window. Then I got some food and brought it to the dog. But the dog wasn't at the door. He don't know what's going on.
He don't know. Oh, that's so sad. That is really sad.
And it was hot today too.
I really hope that person didn't just leave that, didn't abandon that baby.
My thing is, the people could at least took the dog somewhere. They had to leave the dog outside too.
They didn't have to leave the dog outside. Was it a little pup? Was it a little dog?
Medium size.
They did not have to do that. That was too much. They was doing too much. Put the dog outside in the heat. The dog could have died from heat stroke.
But I don't know how long it was out there, but it was out there. But I looked back out, and the girl was feeding it, and he was outside the cage, and she was trying to see how the cage worked. And then all of a sudden, I looked back out, the cage was gone, the dog was gone. They got the dog. Somebody got it.
Somebody might have taken the dog. Well, I'm glad they did, because whoever owns the dog don't need the dog. If they don't, was it a pit bull?
Not one of those. Nothing like that.
Oh man, that's so sad.
But they didn't deserve it. They got put out, and they can't. I mean,
yeah, I think that, I think that's irresponsible for them to do that, because if you know that you had an inkling that you was close to getting evicted, and you shouldn't have left your baby there.
Oh, you got to go to court and all that before they do all that. And from the looks of the raggedy furniture, they ain't need no dog in the first place.
Well, that's what somebody said. I never understood poor people with pets, but I don't know, pets make people's lives better. So there are people that will listen to me, y'all. Sugar Pie has been here in Italy. These people have been giving Sugar Pie filet mignon, sea bass, Chilean sea bass. She has been eating like a queen, because, a lot of people feed the dog. They say, can she have some? And I'm like, yeah, she can. And then they give her she has been eating like the Italian. But I don't know. I think people, I have always had a dog. When I've been up and when I've been down, I've had a dog. Now, I've always taken care of my dog, but Sugar Pie has been doing. In fact, she's going on the boat tomorrow. Yeah, I think people should have to be more responsible when they adopt a pet. But okay, well, guys, a little bit quickly. We will not be here Friday because we're doing traveling. There's a lot going on, preparing to travel. But we do have news. Love and Marriage Huntsville is back. So we're going to slide in to Love and Marriage Huntsville. I know that we're going to have one more conversation about the Never Ever Mets. There have been some conversations happening after the show. Some foolishness and folly happening. So we are going to do that. We'll do that next week. We'll let you guys know when. And then we're going to have a conversation. On the following Friday, we're going to recap everything that happened with Love and Marriage Huntsville, so we can be ready for this new season, the fall, when it comes back. But yes, we are going to just have to recap, because I think we need to go back and sum up this season. Melody is gone, Sonny and Moses are gone, but Trish and Ken are there, and all the rest of the cast. So I just want us to get familiar again with everything, and then hopefully pretty soon we'll be able to get back into Ready to Love. Who at this point, I don't even care about them Philly people. Will Packer can take them Philly people and go somewhere with them. I don't care no more. I've lost connection to them.
That's crazy. Yeah,
that is wild. But yes, we will do that. So we will not be here Friday, but we will be here next week. I'll be back on Monday with Grace and Gossip, and I'll be back in Atlanta. When I see you guys next, I'll be back in Atlanta. So make sure that you check out for video of the rest of the trip, and then I will see you guys back in Atlanta. Mo, I will see you soon.
Yes, see you soon.
And I will call you tomorrow on the dilemma.
Yeah.
All right. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Love you guys. I'll see you next week. Thank you for safe travels. I appreciate it. Love you all. You all have an amazing week, and I will see you next time from ATL.
All right, y'all.